Christmas. And now we're going to be talking about Kwanzaa. And do we have, can you see the Kanara? Yeah. We don't have a full Kanara because we haven't lit the candles for all of the celebration that we're doing. So we're doing just a few to light the candles. And each candle has a principle involved. And that's why I wanted you to have a copy of the Kwanzaa principles. Kwanzaa started in 1966.
Everyone have one?
It is the most wonderful African-American celebration. It's not a religious celebration per se, but it's a celebration of your roots for people who are African-American and who they are and the pride in who they are. It came at a time when a lot of things were happening in that era with women's rights, with a lot of different civil rights. And here came a gentleman who brought it to the fore, the African-American, feeling comfortable with who they are. And that's where Kwanzaa came from. And now I'm going to turn you over to our speaker, Rev Ronnie Grigsby.
Yay! Woo! Ronnie!
Hello there.
How's everybody doing?
Hey, great.
Hey,
Are you going to sing your song, or we're going to sing first, or are you going to sing it afterwards?
Oh, who knows?
Okay.
We are a people.
we are a people.
We are a people. Not just what we look like. Not just how hairy we are. Not just how beautiful our hair is. Not just how beautiful our clothes are, but we are a people. You see,
are a people.
when the Creator created us, not only did the Creator create people, but the Bible says that the Creator looked up. I mentioned a word that we don't use very much in the metaphysical church, but the Bible says that God looked down after God breathed the breath of life into the human lungs, and the human lungs responded. God said, "This is good." I'm saying this is good because a lot of us don't recognize ourselves as good, as a good part of creation.
Yes.
You go outside and you see flowers and you see trees and you see birds and you see cows and you see your dog and your cat and you feed them because they're beautiful and you love them. But we have learned something that we weren't supposed to learn, and that was how to not get along with each other. We have a community. We have forgotten how to communicate with each other.
Yes.
How often do you walk by somebody and you want to say hello, but society says that you can't do that because this is where society is right now. One time I was in the supermarket and I was minding my own business, and in front of me was two women with baby carriages. And the babies saw each other. And the babies looked at each other and they started to laugh. These babies didn't know each other from dirt. But they began to communicate with each other. We're afraid in the supermarket to say hello to somebody. Where have we gotten that from? When the Creator looked down upon us and the Creator created everything that the Creator created, He said, "This is good." There's a goodness in everything. There's a greatness in you, no matter who you decide to call yourself. This is what Kwanzaa is all about, because in the 1960s when Kwanzaa was created, number one, the reason that Kwanzaa was created was because we have a St. Patrick's Day. We have Cinco de Mayo. We have uh,
July 4th.
July 4th. We have Cherry Blossom Day. We even have days where we celebrate destroying Hawaii.
That's true.
What is that?
Oh,
December 7th.
oh. Pearl Harbor Day.
Pearl Harbor Day. But we, because of the fact that when my people were brought here, notice I say my people were brought here, my people did not come on their own. My people were brought here as not people, as less than human beings.
Less than human.
There wasn't anything to celebrate our coming to this country. Our families were torn apart. Mothers and fathers, mothers and fathers who found each other were separated by slavery. One went this way and the other may have went that way. So our children were used to not having parents. When Kwanzaa began as a celebration of new life. Kwanzaa began as a celebration of people reconnecting with themselves. Yes, this is a sad story. But the glorious part of this sad story is that we begin to reconnect. Not only as African American people, not only as people of other descents, but we begin to connect as a people. I am not a thing, I am a being. And when God looks down upon me, God said, this is good.
We do too.
Look at yourself and say, this is good. Look at somebody else and say, this is good.
This is good.
Oh, you are so good.
Because we are.
This is good.
And this is what the 7 days and the seven principles of Kwanzaa reminds us of. Even though the African American community, I don't know if you pay attention to the African American community, but I just happen to. The reason that I happen to celebrate the African American community because I am a proud African American male.
Yes.
I had to say that because I had to say it.
And that's the way it
Because
is.
for a long time, we have been looked at as prisoners. We have been looked at as somebody who wasn't going to take care of his family. We have been looked at as a person on the street corner, handcuffed, maybe laying down on the street corner, but we don't have to live there anymore. And that's one of the things that Kwanzaa teaches us.
Yes, yes.
The word Kwanzaa in Swahili means new beginnings.
Yes.
Means that I don't have to even act like those people that got themselves into a situation. I am 62 years old.
Yay.
I'm a 62-year-old African American that has never been arrested. I am a 62 African American male that don't know what an inside of a jail looks like. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, it's a rare thing. Yes. They don't have anything.
If you don't understand what I'm saying, by the time an African American inner city kid is 20 years old, he has been to jail. You don't understand this. And I'm trying to share this with you. The new beginnings say that 30 years ago the light came on. And we decided that we didn't have to be that anymore. We decided that we didn't have to go straight to work anymore. That there was a university out there that was able to teach an African American child as well as they were able to teach a Caucasian child, as well as they were to teach an Hispanic child, as well as they were to speak an Asian American child. This was what we had to wake up to. My metaphysical brothers and sisters, this is what we are waking up to. And at this age, in our way of life. if you look at it, we are getting ready. This church organization is getting ready to install the first African American president.
Yes.
That is something to say. That is something to be proud of.
That's something to be proud of.
She's a woman.
Not only that, but she's a woman.
Yes. Whoa. Hello.
And if I know her, she's a personal friend of mine, so I know that she's right now walking about this high off the ground.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're growing. After her, there's going to be somebody else in this office that is going to benefit from her being in her spot.
That's right. Yep.
Enough of me.
Speak it, Ronnie.
Yep. Be testifying.
I have the privilege of being able to go through the loss of my mother, who, ever since I could remember, would wake up in the morning praying that God will change all of the stuff that I've just talked about. Recognizing that she didn't have a formal education, but she made sure that we at least graduated high school and had some college. Who made sure that we didn't see the things, or tried to make sure that we didn't see the things we saw. When we were growing up, if something spectacular or spectacularly tragic happened, that we would see that and make sure that we didn't go through that again. I can remember being very, very young and watching television as John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King were celebrated at the end of their life. They had us take that in, so the world wouldn't see that through us, so that we could learn from what they did. So when Rosa Parks was handcuffed and taken off the bus and put into jail, I saw that. We are so afraid of our children seeing things that we're hiding things from our children, and they're not learning from that. It's time that we change that. I am not a page in a history book. I am alive, I move, I live, and I have my being. The only difference between me and you is that I put on a different set of pants than you do.
But you put them on the same way.
When you start to love each other, yes, you do put them on the same way, as a matter of fact. But when you start to love each other, then you find yourself in a space to where that I could walk up to, somebody could walk up to me and say, "Hello, my name is Doti Boon, and we're going to be friends."
Yes, sir.
And from that point on, be friends. This is the time that we tear those barriers apart. This is the time that we look through. This is the time that we look through the darkness and find the light. This is the time that we walk into the darkness with a match and strike it, and light becomes. See, because Martin Luther King says that darkness, that if you light a candle in the dark, then it becomes light. And we can live in the light. Nobody likes to live in darkness. If you walk in darkness, you're subject to run into something. This is what the light is for. Light overcomes the darkness. So, this is what Kwanzaa is all about. Kwanzaa is all about teaching us that we can be the people that we're supposed to be and that we're set up to be, and be the people that when the Spirit looked down and said, "This is good," know that you're good. Know that you can carry on the light that is set forth before you. So, this is what Kwanzaa is about. Kwanzaa is about teaching us as adults how to teach our people that come after us, that you can do and be anything that you want to be. But first, if you walk in spirit, the Bible says those of us that walk in God are the children of God. It's up to us to figure out and to get into our minds that we are somebody. Any place you see Ronnie, you see Ronnie. I don't change for you because I'm there. I'm Ronnie. If you were to come to the Levi Stadium Museum, anytime you came to the museum and you saw me there, I'd be the same person that I am here. Why? Because I have gotten into myself that I belong wherever I'm at.
Hey, brother.
We were told for a long time, you go in and you serve and you leave.
Yes.
We were told for a long time that you polish those shoes as if they were your shoes and you just leave them there. When the master and the missus get out of bed, you make sure that their bed look like they never slept in it. These are things that were taught to us. I'm talking about the African American person now. But you know what? It's not like that physically anymore. But we need to get into our heads, into our, God, I'm going to use this word. We need to get into our government.
Hello.
That this is no longer this situation. The situation is, I am somebody, and no matter how far you try to push me back, I will stay there, and I will be somebody. In the 1950s and the 1940s, in the southern states, we were taught that during the civil rights movement that if they slapped us, stand there. If they hit us, stand there. If you got knocked down, get up. These are things that you have to know that the African American community has been through. Yes, there's a lot of us, and there's a lot of us that are angry. But then there's a lot of us who got the message. My brothers and sisters, I got the message. And the message is to love you no matter what I think your family did to my family. Love you no matter how much hatred has been done. Love you no matter what you expect from me. And for a long time that wasn't very much. But I expect to leave this planet knowing and expounding that I am a child of the Most High Creator. I am a child of somebody who spoke and things came into existence. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Amen.
And this is what Kwanzaa is about. Kwanzaa is into teaching us what these symbols are all about. So the creator of Kwanzaa looked back and he said, we don't know that much about Africa. We don't even know whether the language that we speak and say that comes from Africa really do come from there. But there's a language called Swahili. And we need to set up a set of principles. And that set of principles, if we apply them to our lives and apply them to our daily lives, can change the view that the African American has for himself. And when I say African American, I mean here, every person in this building. And I'm not only speaking to the African American, but if it applies to you, then you can take this and run with this with your life.
Ronnie, can you say it and we can repeat it after you?
I can. Jan, would you like to help me?
Absolutely.
You never know what he's going to get you into, Jen.
So, I'm going to do the first one and she'll do the second one. Our first principle of Kwanzaa, you will find them inside your folder. Program. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Our first principle of Kwanzaa is umoji. Umoja.
Umoja?
Umoja. Everyone say it. Umoja.
Umoja, unity, stresses the importance of togetherness for the family and the community, which reflected in the African American saying, I am we, or I am we are.
I am we, I am because we are. I am because we are. Let us say that together. I am because we are. Kuji Chagulia. This Kuji Chagulia. Kuji Chagulia.
Is that what you're looking for? That's what you're going to take with you then.
Self-determination. It is what Reverend Ronnie has been talking to us about this morning. Self-determination requires that we define our common interests and make decisions that are in the best interest for our family and our community. Kuji Chagulia. Kuji Chagulia.
Ujima,
Ujima.
collective works and responsibilities. Ujima, collective works and responsibilities remind us of the obligation of the past, present, and future, and that we have a role to play in the community, society, and world. 7 candles of Kwanzaa.
Ujama. 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 One more time. Ujama. Cooperative economics. This could not be more important than now. Cooperative economics emphasizes our collective economic strength and encourages us to meet common needs through mutual support. And that's what this church community is all about. We mutually support each other. And it's very powerful. I've seen it change lives. So let us claim it again. Ujama.
Nia.
Nia.
Say it again. Nia.
Nia.
Purpose encourages us to look within ourselves and to set personal goals that are beneficial to our community. Can I read that again?
Yes.
Nia. Purpose encourages us to look within ourselves and to set personal goals that will benefit, that are beneficial to our community.
Kuumba. Kuumba. Kuumba.
Kaumba.
All right, creativity. This is the magic. This is the magic. Creativity makes use of our creative energies to build and maintain a strong and vibrant community. All of our creative energies woven into one. Say it one more time. Kuumba.
Imani.
Imani.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love it.
Imani. Faith focuses on honor. The best of our traditions draws upon the best of ourselves and help us to strive for the highest level of life for mankind by affirming our self-worth and confidence in our abilities to succeed and triumph in the righteous struggle. Imani. These are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. If these are put into our lives, you don't have to use the Swahili words or make it any beautiful than itself. But if you put these in your life, you see, one of the things that Kwanzaa taught us to do was to sit with our children and put these into our children's minds so that our children can become better people than we are. And if our children can become better people than we are, then our children look past the fact that you may be Caucasian, or you may be Asian, or you may be black, or you may be Hispanic, and look and go, okay, that's a human being. Remember I was talking about the children in the supermarket. They don't care if they don't care what race that other child is. It's the fact that there's another child in the room, and they can learn to love each other as I love you, and look at you as a piece of creation lying on the ground. And not only did that piece of creation lie on the ground, but the Bible says that God breathed down on that piece of creation, and that piece of creation started to breathe, and that piece of creation started to move, and that piece of creation got up and looked up, and God said, what? This is good. Yes. Thank you very much.
You know what song you gotta sing to run.
What I got to say? No, I can't do that. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. Angels in heaven done sign my name. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. Angels in heaven done sign my name. If you get there before I do, angels in heaven done sign my name. Tell all my friends I'm coming too. Angels in heaven done sign my name. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. Angels in heaven done sign my name. Well, I've been to the river and I've been baptized. Angels in heaven done sign my name. And I know my name is written on high. Angels in heaven done sign my name. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed. Angels in heaven done sign my name. Well, the angels in heaven done sign my name. Well, the angels in the heaven done sign my name.
That's just something right there that. Good, thank you so much. I called Ronnie, 2 days ago, and said, Ronnie, it's Kwanzaa. And he said, yeah. I was talking to a man who had just buried his mother.
Oh, no, yeah, that's right.
And he said, you know, I don't know if I could be there. And I said, that's fine. This little white-faced lady will just sit up and do Kwanzaa, you know, what the heck. I just don't quite have the zeal in that song, you know. I could clap, but I wasn't in tune, and I could sing, but I still wouldn't be in tune. And so, Ronnie, you are fantastic. Thank you so very much. One of the things before we close today, I wanted to talk about is the fact that how many of you make resolutions? How many of you resolve to make New Year's resolutions? Okay, the New Year's resolution, what are they? What are resolutions?
It wish.
But if you do it right, they're goals. They're goals for life. And you treat them so shabbily. You know, you go, oh, well, yeah, I can break it. It was just a New Year's resolution. No, it's not. If you start looking at what you resolved on the first day of the year as your goal for the year, do you know that people who make goals succeed far more than people who don't?
That's true.
People who make a goal say, I'm not going to binge watch TV. I'm not going to, you know, just sit here and twiddle my thumbs. I've got something to do because I made a goal with myself. And probably it's not a goal that you have anybody else helping you. It's the goal that you made yourself. So start thinking of that after we have this wonderful service today. I want you to get in touch with the language of your brain. And that language of your brain is a goal. It is what sets you apart. Animals don't really have goals. They have instinct. But you, each one of you, has the ability to make goals. Because goals mean clarity. Okay, so when you make your resolutions this evening, do something that you can resolve that gives you clarity. Don't say, one of these days, I'm going to go on a diet. Say, I'm going to start tomorrow. And make a goal. And don't be so mean to yourself that if that Snickers bars happens to attack you in the middle of the night, that, how many of you know what I'm talking about?
Tell it.
Yeah.
Tell it, sister.
That Snicker ball, actually, you might succumb, but you'll say, no, but wait a minute, I've got this goal. And you go with it, because they give us meaning, and they make us feel good. Don't you feel kind of empowered when you make a goal? When you make a resolution? It empowers you. Hey, look at me, I can do that. And do it. So you don't make 23 million goals or resolutions. My dad always resolved that he wouldn't ride in any submarines that year. Since my dad weighed close to 400 pounds and was 6'5", I doubt any submarine wanted him. But I love that. He was being very facetious. He made the same thing for Lent.
You wouldn't need any submarine.
He kind of had this thing of making impossible goals. But yet, in his life, he really had goals. So this is what I'm saying. We've talked about goals all year. And now this is the time for you to resolve with your resolutions. And come back tonight at 8 o'clock. We're going to sit down and we're going to make some resolutions. First, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, because I'm going to do some prophecies. And then you can sit and say, okay, Dottie said I'm getting a new job. Dottie said I'm going to meet with the love of my life. Dottie said that I'm moving. Dottie said, now I'm going to make it happen, because that's the way it works. Okay? And now what really works for us is for us to do abundance. Yes. The wonderful people are going to come up and we're going to stay. This is on the back of your program. Would you please, everybody, read it with us? Yes. Giving to the ministry from which we receive our spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that